Hi guys, welcome to Pretty Little Claws. I'm Lisa Graves and today I'm going to be showing you how to do pink and whites in acrylic. Okay, so I've already got my tips on. These have been cut down and shaped and blended. So I'm going to be using the Nail Prep Dehydrator. So I only need to use this on the natural nail, and that only takes a few seconds to dry. So for these nails I'm going to be using Rose Glow and Mega White. The monomer I'm using today is the Max Adhesion. This is my favourite one. And I'm also going to be using the round 08 acrylic brush. So the dehydrator has now dried. So when I'm doing my pink and whites, I'll do the pink nail bed across all of the nails, and the last step I'll do is the white. So it's up to you if you want to do your nail bed in either one bead or two beads. I'll show you both ways. So on the pinky I'll show you in one bead. So you need to get quite a large bead and place that straight up at the cuticle. And then just let gravity do most of the work for you. Just keep that nail tilted down and let it take the product down the nail. So I love doing extended nail beds, really dramatic. But how deep you take your smile line is completely up to you. It's personal preference, what you want to do or what your client wants. But I love a deep smile line, so I do tend to take mine quite low down. I always prefer to see more pink than white. Obviously you don't have to use white, you can use any colour. So while that is setting, I'm just using the belly of my brush to start forming the shape of my smile line. We are going to be perfecting this with a nail file, so don't worry about getting it absolutely perfect. But what we need to be focusing on is making sure that we have got our apex in already and we're happy with the thickness of the nail overall so far. Again, we will be perfecting that with a nail file before we go on adding the white. So I'll show you on this nail how you would do it in two beads. So with two beads, what I would normally do is I will start with the lower portion of my nail bed. So putting my smile line first. So I'm still going to get quite a decent sized bead. I'm going to place that in the middle of the nail, dry my brush out, and I'm going to flatten the top of that bead because we're going to be blending the next bead over that. So I'm just going to make sure that's really smooth and flush to the natural nail, and then I can focus on my smile line. So again, pulling that product down, making sure we are going sidewall to sidewall, and then bring that product down. So as I'm forming my smile line, I'm really pushing that product up to make like a wall of acrylic, so that if you look at that from the side, you'll be able to see a real nice clean wall. Again, we are going to sharpen that up with a nail file. Okay, so now we've done that bead, I can go and pop my cuticle bead in and then just blend that bead into... So there's no right or wrong way of doing this. If you want to do it all in one bead, you can do. If you want to break it down in two beads, you can do. Even if you're struggling with two beads, if you feel you need to go back and add a little bit more to kind of patch things up, that's fine, so long as you're blending those beads, otherwise you'll end up with blending lines. So the reason I do all of my pinks and then all of my white is because your white powder really clings to your brush and it can mucky your monomer quite quickly. So when we're doing our pinks, we really want to keep our monomer as clean as possible so that it doesn't alter the colour, the shade of the pink. So by doing all the white last, it doesn't matter if your monomer does get a little bit of white in there because it's not going to affect the shade of the white. Also, it helps as well because if you're doing the pink and white on one nail at a time, you're going to have to wait for the pink to dry before you can file it, so you'll just spend a lot of time waiting. Okay, so before we start filing, we do need to make sure that these are completely set. So just going back to the first one, I'll just give them a tap, and that's the sound that we're listening for, so I know that that one's set, whereas this one isn't. So I can start filing the pinky, and then by the time I get over there, that one will be set. So I'm going to use the 120 grits. I would recommend either a 120 or a 180 for this job. So first thing I'm going to do is really sharpen up this wall of acrylic that we've made. It is important that we keep the nail file at a 90-degree angle. We don't want to be dropping it out like that or coming like this, otherwise you'll end up with a wonky smile line. So nice and carefully, especially when you're coming up into these corners. These corners are the most important part to file in. If you don't get the corners, you will lose them. You'll lose the definition when we finish the nails off. But obviously be careful of your client's skin. So nice and careful in that section. And we're going to take this 90-degree wall all the way around, and this is where we really get to perfect the smile line. Getting careful up in that corner. So the process would be the same no matter how deep your smile line is, or even if you're doing a pointy chevron smile line, process would be the same. Just need to make sure that that wall is really, really crisp. Especially up in those corners. So you can check your side view as well to make sure that your angle is nice and crisp, and you should be able to check that all the way around. As long as you're having a really good look, it should be nice and visible. So I normally file the top of the pink section as well before I add my white acrylic. You can do that now or you can do it afterwards. The wall is the most important thing in this process. Whether or not you file this bit now or after you've added your white acrylic, it's completely up to you. But I always prefer to do this step now. That way I know that the acrylic is the right thickness, the nail is already shaped and pretty much filed, and then you've only got to file the white section afterwards. By filing the top section as well, it really does make your wall nice and crisp. You'll actually end up, I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on the camera, but you will actually end up with a definite corner on the top of that acrylic. So it really helps you visualize how neat and how perfect your smile line is going to be. So when you're happy with that, we can move on to the next nail and file that in the same way. Okay, so when you are finished filing, make sure you are getting rid of all of that dust. Okay, so now all of this is filed. I know I don't need to go around the cuticle area anymore once I've finished with the rest of my acrylic. That portion is completely filed. So all I have to worry about once I've finished putting the rest of the acrylic on is filing the white. I do love it if I get a client that's never had pink and whites before, because when you put the white on, I like to make it look really, really messy. And then your client's like, what are you doing? And then when you file it out. So it really doesn't matter if this bit is messy. I love making it messy, because then when you kind of do the grand reveal at the end, I think it has an extra wow factor. So I'm going to completely smother the edge of this nail with the white acrylic, that it's completely covered that smile line that we've put in. And then this is another reason why I like to file the pink first. That way I know that it is the correct thickness, so that when I start filing the white afterwards, I can just keep filing until that smile line comes out. So yeah, your client would look at that and go, oh my god, what are you doing? What is this? I love doing the grand reveal. It just looks so good. So make sure that you have travelled your white acrylic right up into those corners. So I don't know if you can see already, my monomer, just from doing those 2 nails, has now gone quite cloudy. That's because of the white acrylic, it just clings to your brush. Yeah, so make sure you're really getting those corners while your acrylic is still runny, easy to move before it starts setting, and then we can use the belly of our brush to really move this product around. It's easier to do this section than it is those tiny little corners. But what I will do, if I have messed any of these corners up, I'll show you some little tricks that you can do to cover them up. So if you are new to pink and whites and you are practicing, don't fret too much if your smile lines aren't perfect, because there are things we can do to cover them up that will make the nails look even more beautiful, and your clients will never know that you've messed up. Nobody has to know. So this is the best bit for me, removing the excess white acrylic and revealing that smile line. Look at that. Look. So because we've already filed the pink and we got that really nice sharp crisp corner, I can literally just file the white off until that smile line is exposed. Look. So I've still got more filing to do. I'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, so now I can come in with my hand file. I always finish my nails off with a hand file. Just personally, I feel I can get a nicer finish. So again, I've only really got to focus on the white acrylic because I know the pink is done. I've already done that. So I'm just focusing now on making sure that the thickness on the end is how I want it, and just really perfecting over that smile line. Look at that. So pretty. Before I top coat these, I am just going to give them a little bit of a buff. And I'm going to be using the Urban Graffiti UV LED top coat. Okay, they can go in for a full cure. Okay, and then I'm going to finish these nails off with the coconut cuticle. So here are the finished nails. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and all the links to the product used in the video will be in the description box below. Thanks!